All right, let's dive into a topic that's, well, both incredibly intense and surprisingly filled with hope when you look at it closely. We're talking about the Tribulation Saints.
So let's kick things off with a huge question. When you think about the most chaotic, intense period in all of human history, who are the people who find faith right at the very end of it all? Well, according to this view of prophecy, these believers actually show up after an event called the rapture. That's when the church is believed to be taken from the earth. So these are the saints living in a world that's been, for all intents and purposes, left behind. So what exactly do we mean by tribulation saints? It's pretty straightforward, really. It's anyone who puts their faith in Jesus Christ during that crazy turbulent 7-year period that prophecy calls the tribulation. And here's what's absolutely wild, the sheer scale of it. We are not talking about some small secret group hiding out. No way. The Bible suggests a massive, uncountable number of people are going to come to faith during this time.
Okay, but how do we even know this? How can we be so sure about this massive group of people? Well, it turns out there's a specific vision in the book of Revelation that gives us this stunning glimpse into heaven, and it really answers that question head on.
So the Apostle John gets this vision, right? And what he sees is a crowd so huge it's literally impossible to count. It's this incredibly powerful moment that totally sets the stage for figuring out who these people are.
And in this vision, John sees this gigantic crowd. And get this, they're from every nation, tribe, people, and language. This is not some uniform group. It's a picture of salvation on a global scale. And they're all wearing these white robes, symbolizing purity, and they're standing there in victory.
Then, one of the elders in the vision asks John, "Hey, do you know who these people are?" And the answer couldn't be more direct. This is the key. They are identified point blank as the ones who have come out of the Great Tribulation, and their faith, it's symbolized by having their robes made white in the blood of the Lamb.
But, and this is a big but, their journey to that amazing scene in heaven is anything but peaceful. Down here on earth, they face a time of just brutal, unprecedented persecution.
You see, this whole period has kind of two sides to it. For people who reject God, it's a time of God's judgments. But for these new believers, for the saints, it's something totally different. It's a time of intense persecution, specifically coming from a figure we know as the Antichrist.
And make no mistake, this isn't some vague threat. Prophecies, like this one right out of the book of Daniel, describe it as an all-out war. The Antichrist is literally pictured as waging war, hunting down and defeating them. So that brings up a pretty logical question, right? If the church is gone, how in the world do all these people hear the gospel in the first place? I mean, how does faith even begin to take root in the middle of all that chaos?
Well, the sources point to 3 main ways the message gets out. First up, the written word itself, the Bible. Millions of copies will still be around, and as people see these prophecies happening in real time, they're going to start picking them up, looking for answers. Then, you've got these 2 incredibly powerful prophets called the 2 witnesses who show up in Jerusalem and preach for over 3 years. And finally, there's a very specific group of 144,000 Jewish missionaries sealed by God himself for the sole purpose of spreading this message across the globe.
Now, this whole intense period, it builds to a really dramatic climax in their story here on earth. For so many of these saints, having this unwavering faith, it leads them directly to the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, the sources are crystal clear about this. You're living in a world run by a leader who demands to be worshipped. So refusing to give up on your newfound faith, well, for many of these saints, it's going to cost them their lives. Martyrdom becomes a very common reality.
But here's the incredible, almost mind-blowing twist in the story. Their death isn't painted as a defeat at all. This verse from Revelation completely reframes it. It's their ultimate victory. Because they did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death, they actually overcame Satan himself.
And that sacrifice, it leads straight to an eternal reward. You see, their story doesn't end with persecution and death on earth. It just transitions to a final, perfect, lasting peace.
That very same vision in Revelation spells out exactly what their eternal reward looks like. And just listen to how each promise is the complete opposite of what they suffered on earth. It says they'll never be hungry again, never be thirsty. The sun won't scorch them. Instead, the Lamb himself will be their shepherd, leading them to springs of living water. And God will personally wipe away every single tear from their eyes. It's this promise of direct, personal care from God.
So it all just comes down to this incredible contrast, doesn't it? A life of unimaginable suffering is traded for an eternity of perfect peace and care. It's really presented as the ultimate reversal of fortune.
And that brings us to one last thought to leave you with. Look, the story of the Tribulation Saints it's heavy, it's sobering for sure, but ultimately it's framed as this unbelievable story of grace and human endurance. So it kind of leaves us with a question to think about. What does this story really tell us about hope and how it can not just survive but actually flourish in the most desperate times imaginable?